Welcome to Guns 101, our video welcome message for new gun owners, brought to you by the Self-Defense Radio Network. I'm Rob Morse from Self-Defense Gun Stories. My partners are Amanda Suffolcool from Eye on the Target Radio, and the guy behind the curtain there, he's doing the tech lifting. That's Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. We're joined tonight by Amy Dillon. She's a firearms instructor, competitor, and DC Project participant. Amy, we've asked all of the instructors to talk about safe storage and staging of a firearm. We've got millions of people who took this wonderful box home, and we didn't get a chance to give them the full brief on what to do with it.
Hi, Rob. First of all, thanks for having me on tonight. I'm very excited to be sharing with your listeners about safe storage of handgun and all these safety-related topics, especially for people who are new to firearms, just bought a gun, and have not had the opportunity to take a class or find an instructor to ask these questions to. So tonight, we're getting into safe storage of handguns. When you get home, the first thing you want to do is, and I tell this no matter what a person's experience is around firearms, always check, double check, triple check to make sure the firearm is empty. And we want to do that, of course, by obeying the safety rules. Always treat every gun as if it's loaded. Never point it in an unsafe direction. I want to, and I don't know if, can I demonstrate on this, Rob?
Yes, you can. Okay. Feel free.
All right. All right. So I just have, let's see, a semi-automatic handgun with me tonight. And the first thing I want to do is pick it up in the proper firing hand grip. I want to make sure that I point the muzzle in a safe direction. So of course, for me, I've assessed my area and I know that this way is a safe direction. There's no one there, and it's clear. So the first thing I want to do for a semi-automatic is I want to take the finger off. Of course, my finger should never be out on the trigger. It's outside the trigger guard. Okay, and I want to remove the magazine first. So I do a visual inspection of the magazine to make sure it's clear. Okay, and we see it's clear. For a semi-automatic handgun, there still is one more area to check, and that's in the chamber. So I do that by safely, with my support hand, pulling back on the slide, just like so. And I see that the chamber is clear and nothing's in the magazine well as well. So now I know that my firearm is properly empty. It's properly unloaded. It's empty. All right, so let's talk about safe storage. If this were a gun that I'm going to be putting away, and it's not necessarily a gun I'm going to be using in a defensive manner or setting up for my defense plan, which we're going to talk about here in a minute, I want to make sure I keep it unloaded and I put it away either in a locked box, a safe, a proper storage, a safe, or I utilize the lock and cable that should be provided with the firearm. It is federal law that when you buy a handgun, the FFL or the dealer gives you some type of lock, and usually that's sufficed by a cable and lock. If you don't have one, and let's say it was a private sale, there's a great organization called Project Child Safe that will give you a lock if you call and request it or email them and request one. So I just want to throw that out there for anyone who has guns that they don't have a proper lock method for. Okay. Now, when you're buying a handgun, you have to think about what the purpose of it is. If it's something that you are going to be using for defense, I want to think about, where am I going to place this firearm in my house? What is its intended purpose? Is it the gun I want to have on the nightstand or in the nightstand in case someone, breaks into my home in the middle of the night? I also want to think about other people in the household. My spouse, are they familiar with how to handle a firearm safely? What about kids? Or what about anyone in the house who may not be familiar with firearms or shouldn't have access to firearms? So for me, I don't have kids, and I am living with someone who knows how to operate a handgun safely. So personally, I'm comfortable keeping the handgun on the nightstand. It's loaded, ready to go. I have it pointed away from me. And I also have a flashlight next to it, so that if something does happen where I hear something in the middle of the night and I have to quickly get access to my gun and have it drawn ready to go in case someone were breaking into my bedroom, for example, I have it staged in a way to where it's ready to go. So,
Okay, so
um,
Amy,
oh,
one
yes.
question though is when you get up to leave the bedroom, where's the gun go?
When I get up to leave the bedroom or I go out of the house, again, depending on what I'm doing, if it's the gun that I'm going to choose to carry on me that day, which sometimes it is the same gun that I carry on me that I lay on the nightstand when I'm ready to go to bed to go to bed, I will usually just take pick it up, put it in the holster, put the holster on me, or I will unload it and I'll put it in the safe in the lockbox.
Okay. Okay, so is there anything more that you'd like to tell a beginner that has that has this brand new gun and potentially is in a house with someone who understands guns or not? Is there any more or
Well, I think the important thing is to, and this is kind of going into a different topic, but knowing what the other participants in the household are going to be a part of as far as, a defense plan, and what I mean by that is maybe having a code word that you set up with your partner or spouse that they know that, okay, something's happening and I don't have time to explain it right now, but you need to, just follow my lead. Or maybe it's something like, okay, knowing that they know where the firearm is, knowing the condition of the firearm, and also how to use it. And I've had students before that have told me, and this is kind of a whole separate topic about, they're not comfortable keeping a firearm next to them chambered, which is totally fine. With beginners, I understand the concern there, and it definitely takes training, practice, and being comfortable with a firearm. And unfortunately, these days, when people are buying firearms, they're not necessarily getting the training first. They just want to secure the firearm, have it just in case, and then they go get training later. So I think it's important to address these issues. So, for example, if you're not comfortable keeping the firearm chambered, some people will, okay, I want to keep the magazine loaded, but not necessarily one in the chamber. So I might tell them to set their gun up on the nightstand so that it's laying in a position to where when they grab the gun, they might want to leave the slide locked open next to them, take the magazine, and they want to position it on the nightstand so it's in a position to where when they grab it, it's already indexed in their hand to where they can automatically or as quickly as possible place the magazine in the magazine well, push the slide lock forward or the slide forward, and it's ready to go, loaded. So there's
okay?
different staging, I guess, ideas that they can go with as far as the comfort level of keeping a loaded gun next to them.
And those things take practice. So if you're going to do any of that, you need to get a set of snap caps. You need to practice so that you can practice closing getting that magazine, getting it in, and closing that gun and manipulating it in a safe manner. Because knowing that if you are practicing it now while you're wide awake and concerned and interested in all that, what are you going to be like at 2 o'clock in the morning, half groggy, half drowsy, whatever, when something goes bump in the night? So, hey,
Yeah,
folks. Oh, go ahead.
I wanted to say that's you bring up a great suggestion, Amanda. That's something else that they can practice is go ahead and stage the firearm on the nightstand that the way they would have it. And if they have snap caps, that's great. But even something as simple as picking up the gun, just so that they know when they pick it up in a quick manner, their finger is always off the trigger and they have a proper grip on the handgun. So that's a great suggestion.
Picking it up the same every way, not
Exactly.
yeah, not fumbling with it, because that's one of the things. So these things take some manipulation, they take some practice, and the only way you're going to get good at it is to do it. So folks, we've got Amy Dillon with us, and she is the state delegate for the DC project. In addition to being a firearms trainer, former never quite an ex-Marine, is a former Marine or a Marine off deployment. And we'll be back with more videos from Amy.